What's up, guys? Welcome back to Diving Garage. Today, we're gonna do something that's long overdue. Quite a few of you have asked for a walk around of Hank, so here it is. Let's dive in. All right, as I walk around, I'll give you a bit of the backstory. So, I found Hank on a farm in Virginia, sitting in a tree row, like many others I'm sure you've heard about, and just sort of forgotten. The previous owner had intended to do a full restoration, like I'm sure you've heard before, but just never quite got around to it. Life just gets in the way sometimes, and I hear you. But anyway, I rescued him, and he didn't really want to start. He was a little hesitant to leave when I did pick him up, but eventually got it running, drove it onto a U-Haul trailer, and I was on my way. And I've had him for quite a few years now. I think we're at 5 years now. And it wasn't until the past year and a half that I really put some effort into getting him restored, back up and running. And I got a lot of plans for this truck. Pretty pumped about it. So I'll start getting into it. So on the front, this sweet bull bar was on the truck when I bought it. Pretty stoked about that. Which you'll see, you got the original grille, original headlights, all the original trim here, so it's not that trash plastic. Original hood, which you can tell it is. Yep. All right, so over here, I did get a wheel and tire upgrade. So these are 33s by 12.5 by 15s. And this is not the stock fender. The poor stock fender was completely rotted through. Right here where you see this primer, I could stick my hand all the way through. And I thought about saving them, I really did. But anyway, and so this visor here, picked up at a junkyard for 20 bucks because they didn't know how to charge me. I think these go for like 100, 120. Anyway, and then he had the smaller little square mirrors. So I dumped those and put these bigger side mirrors on. I can't remember what I got them off of, but they're pretty standard on a lot of these trucks. And then the bed. So the bed that Hank had when I picked him up was Swiss cheese, rotted through, frame rails were toast. It was just a lost cause. I really did think about saving this thing, but I couldn't. So I thought, what would be a cool idea? What would be sweet to do instead of just a stock bed, because that's kind of boring. And I built up this flatbed. I got a whole bunch of steel from the metal store and strapped it down to the frame and then drove it back. It took me quite a bit to put together, but I'm really happy with the way it came out. I got pockets. I got 3 pockets on each side, rub rail, obviously a wood deck, and then there are a couple of tie downs up front. And this thing has been rocking. You know, this is the way to get some work done. I mean, I'm down for a box bed, I really am, but man, this flatbed is awesome. And then back here for running the tail lights, I just have a full function light bar. So it does it all, driving light, stop, reverse, blinker, hazards, a whole game. And then just a regular trailer hook up here. And this is something that took me a while to do as well. So this is a K5 blazer tank swap. So instead of having a saddle tank, you have one of these guys in the frame. So that way when you get hit on the side, your truck doesn't turn into a bomb. You know, I try to avoid things like that. So this was a challenge, but I got it done. And this fuel filler setup is gonna change. This doesn't work. When I try to fill it, it backfills. So what I'm gonna do instead is I'm gonna put it here in the middle, and I'll probably just do like a license plate fill, like a cover that tilts out, tilts back. Yeah. And then coming around on this side, let me see if I can find the name of them, but these hangers are awesome. The hangers I had on there were totally rotted out, like you know so many others are. But if I can find the dude I ordered these from, I'll link it in the description. These things are beefy, and I really like them. And then on the suspension, I do have a 4-inch lift all the way around. Those are just some regular lifted shocks. And that is a stock 12-bolt axle. No upgrades, bone stock. Unfortunately, it's got like a 2.6 or 2.7 ratio. So I'm really robbed on the pickup of this thing, but it does the job, right? So back onto the fuel system, you'll see down here, this is my little bit of a fuel processing area. So the fuel comes out of the tank, and then it hits this filter first. That's 100 micron, and it goes to that Holly red, gets to that 10 micron, and then the regulator's back here for now. Long story, don't ask. And then it shoots up to the front. And yes, I know it would be better if the regulator was in the front. That was just one of the many things I did, trying to troubleshoot some issues. But eventually it will get moved back. But I really like this setup, and it's just, I did a little bit of a protection guard here just to keep some of the road or rocks away from it. And I think that's it for back here. Oh, for the light setup, what I did on this side is this is actually a trailer wiring box, and it works perfect for what I'm using it for. So again, my light bar just comes off of here, up in there, and then since it's a wiring box, my trailer lights also go to that. And it's super easy to hook up. Awesome, awesome upgrade. Alrighty, and then now let's get under the hood. You guys are familiar with it, but I'll go over it anyway. There it is. All right, so this is the 350 small block Chevy engine that I rebuilt. If you are unfamiliar, check down in the description below. I'll put a link to this have a whole playlist for this engine build. And man, what a blast that was. I'm telling you, like if you've never rebuilt an engine, you've got to do it at least once. Even if you mess it up, get in there and really understand how engines work, what parts do what, and how everything meshes together. It's a great process. But anyway, so you'll see from my posts, Hank was giving me some attitude the past couple of days, and I think what it boiled down to was the coil was going bad, and at the same time, the ground screw on the coil wasn't tight. It was a little loose, so it was getting a bit of an intermittent misfire. But anyway, seems to be good now. And on the carburetor setup, that's a Edelbrock ABS2 650, and I have a AN port going into there instead of the banjo bolt style. And then I got a fuel pressure gauge there and some AN lines going all the way down. Otherwise, it's pretty normal up here. Stock alternator, that's a Saginaw steering pump. And then the front radiator, I think it's just a stock replacement. It's got a cooler, and then this is okay, right? It's an overflow. One upgrade I did do over here was I put in a clutch fan instead of a direct drive fan, because man, this thing sounded like an airplane. It was actually this one going right now. I don't know if you can hear it. This thing sounded like an airplane every time it was going at high RPM. And I was just doing some testing, that's why I got this hooked up. And then for the accelerator cable and kick down, I had this sweep bracket, and I really liked the way it was working out. I was a little wary about how it would work, but I really like it. Just regular brake system. So these are actually stainless steel lines, because when I got the truck, the rears were rotted out, and I mean, they leaked out all their fluid, right? That's kind of how these trucks go. So only stainless steel, and man, this is an awesome upgrade, but what a bear to flare these lines, man. What a bear. If you've never done it before, and you're unprepared to buy another $200 tool, when you're doing these lines, just get the regular style lines, they'll work fine. This is just an upgrade I wanted to do. And that's pretty much it. And if you're wondering why the wiring looks like a crazy mess, it's just troubleshooting and, you know, just life. But this is the stock wiring harness, and it's in pretty good shape. I've done my very best not to chop it up. It's whole except for maybe one or two places, and it seems to be working pretty good. So I'm not going to mess with it until it doesn't. And over here on the PCV side, I do have a catch can. I have it unplugged right now. Again, just doing some testing. It just goes from the valve cover up here to the catch can, and it'll go there to the intake. All right, on the steering. So I did do a raised steering arm. These are some stock drag links, and yeah, that's a stock four-wheel drive steering gear. So I thought about doing the two-wheel drive conversion, but this thing has been working well. You know, a lot of people complain that they can't turn these bigger tires. I mean, these are only 33s. So I understand people do bigger tires, and I'll be honest with you, these really aren't going to be on here too much longer if things go my way. I plan on doing some 37s, which includes a little bit of cutting and a little bit throwing some fender flares on there. This thing is going to be looking sick soon. Pretty pumped. And on the inside, it's there, you know. I mean, it's there and there and there. Now, why is that? Well, again, like these trucks do. When I got Hank, this wasn't there, all that. So everywhere you see primer, that's cutting and welding I've had to do to make this thing whole again. And that was an interesting process. Learned a lot, but it was great. And, you know, it's just a learning process, right? That's all we can really do. Anyway, but the door panels were rotted out. It was about here. It's supposed to be here, but it was like here. It just chewed away. This is the original steering wheel. The seat cover was in bad shape. Not only the actual leather cover, but the foam underneath it was just ripped up. I don't know if it got eaten by rats, roaches, moths. What eats foam? I don't know, but they were doing it. And then here on the seat, I got your, I'll call it the old truck essentials for when you have to, you know, dump your ride and walk. Got some shades, so you're looking cool while you're walking. And if you're walking at night, you got a coat and a flashlight. So that's that. Oh, yeah, there's this too. Yep, that's great. Anyway, so one of the many things I want to do next up is get this interior completely redone. So instead of being bare metal, we can actually have some carpet, a headliner, and a real dash cover. So my gauge setup is a bit different, so don't mind the crazy mess of wires, don't worry. Like every car owner that does wiring says, I know what's going on here, don't you worry about it. I just got a gauge pod, and this is just loose because I plan on redoing all this eventually. Here, tack, loose again. But I really like this setup better. When I do the rehab on the interior, I'm gonna leave the gauge pod. I wasn't sure at first, but I'm definitely gonna leave it. And I really like this because otherwise you have to look way down in between the steering wheel to look at your gauges. Now they're right there where you're looking. And this is just a little switch to get the lights on the gauges, no big deal. Otherwise, I haven't messed with a lot in here. I really just took it all out because it was just a wreck. Everything was ripped. Oh, and it was that awesome red, if you haven't figured it out. Everything was just red. Red carpet, red seat, red pillar covers, red headliner, red dash cover. Yeah, so that was enough red in my life. I want to get it out of there. This will be one of the things I plan to do one day. And the seat belts were totally roached out too. I got some replacements. A quick view from the passenger side. About the same. Door panel was just eaten away. It's just gone. And the seat cover that I took off and once, a couple times to see what was under there, because I was hunting for the original build sheet, which was there, but it was all eaten up. So I don't know if that was just time or some bugs or some rodents got to it, but it was there, but it wasn't there, if you know what I mean. And this truck actually is an AC truck. So it doesn't work, and it's not hooked up right now. When I got it, it didn't work, but it's there. I mean, you can see the equipment right here, over here, some of the piping over there. I mean, it's there. So one day I'll put it back. And as for the transfer case, this is the original NP203 hooked up to the original TH350 trans. And this here, if you're wondering what this crazy mess is, so like I was talking about, I didn't want to chop up the original wiring harness. I really just wanted to add on to things, so that way I knew that the harness was good and I wasn't cutting into all kinds of crazy stuff. That's where you get lost, right? So everything that's on here I've added. So I have a wire coming direct from the battery, and then that triggers, it's on a accessory trigger, and that hits this fuse box, which goes to various things. And this is a ground distributor. This is a tank's meter match. So I'm in kind of a funky situation to where I'm trying to use a stock fuel sender, but an aftermarket gauge. So this is actually a pretty cool product if you're unfamiliar with it. Not a sponsor, of course. You can put any setting on that meter match so you can make the gauge read the right way. So if you have an aftermarket gauge or an aftermarket sender or some sort of a combination of both, that'll help you get the gauge reading accurately. All right, I think that's it for down here. Not much going on. These are just some triggers I have for various things. What do you think those are based on the names? Comment below, see if you can figure it out. And there's not a lot else going on over here. I'm not too sure if this is the original glove compartment lid. It might be, but it might not be, not sure. All right, now that you've seen the truck, seen the way it currently sits and all that, I'm gonna go over some of the ideas I have. First up, paint. So this thing is all kinds of crazy colors of the original stock color, the black that comes on aftermarket fenders, rust, that's great. Some gray, black, blue colors, and some more different shades of gray there. And more rust, which don't worry, I'm going to replace these inner fenders, and primer. So that's one of my goals, is to get this thing painted so it's at least one color. And then next up after that, one thing I'd really like to do is get a roll bar put in. Now, I know that when you do a roll bar, you kind of can't drive your truck on the street anymore, or your car, what have you. But the reason I want to do it is because I've seen these things flip, and let's call it this section here, caves in pretty bad. So I'd like to do just your standard hoop, and then the crossbars that go up and down. So that would be a huge project, but I think it'd be a good safety upgrade. Another thing I really need to do is finish building this bed. This is like phase one. This is just to get the bed working. What I really need to do is build a bumper so I get some real tail lights, not this trash light bar, and you know, how to have a real bumper, you know. And then not only that, I really want to build a Baja rack. So something that comes up and over like that. So that way on top here, you can take advantage of all that space. So you can put a tire up there. That's what I want to do. Put a tire up there, put some spare fuel storage, what have you. So really what it would look like, it would have your bumper here, your bed, and then it would come up over the cab and then over like that. So you can kind of imagine that. That'd be something sweet I would like to do. And then up here, I got to do something about this hood. This thing is bowed, kinked, bent in 7 different directions, and the hinges need to be replaced. You know, it's just, it's time. It's time. So I'd like to do a cowl hood. You know, might as well do like a 4-inch. You're gonna do it, go ahead and go crazy, right? That'd be cool. The fenders, I don't know. I need to either find some original fenders that are repairable or are new, you know, some NOS stuff, or I just need to make some mods to these, because these they just don't fit. There's no way about it. They just don't fit. So they look close, I'll tell you what, and maybe even in the camera it looks good. It probably looks better than the camera does on purpose. But it's just, and plus right now I got so frustrated I didn't even bother connecting the bottom, you know. So I need to figure out something to do with those fenders. Then up here for this bumper is fine. The way it sits, the bull bar, sweet, right? But I want to build my own bumper. It's got to match, you know. If I got this sweet flatbed in the back, if I build the bumper, build a Baja rack, I can't have a stock front bumper. That's garbage. So I really want to build my own front bumper for this, you know, with a sweet winch mount, the built-in lights. These lights are fine, actually really bright, with the built-in lights and all that. So get it looking smooth, you know, looking slick, so it matches. All right, now that you've seen the truck, the state it's in, talked about a few things I want to do, I need your help. I'm going to put a few things on the screen here of ideas I have on upgrades and some changes I want to make. Let me know what you want to see. Let me know what you want to see first, maybe later. Let me know what you think. Drop in the comment below. Hopefully this will be a discussion, because I know there are a ton of you guys that have done these trucks out there before, and I want to know what's your favorite mod or your favorite thing that you've done to your truck that you're like, man, I cannot live without this ever again. I want to know what that is. But hey, I hope you liked the video. If you did, I'd ask you to like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. It helps me out a ton, and I appreciate all the support you guys give me. It really means a lot. Now don't be afraid to get out there and dive into your next project. Catch you next time.